Ice water in the veins of Sterling Gibbs.
He's emerged as Seton Hall's leader and has put his name in the race for Big East Player of the Year.
Gibbs gets a three!
Seton Hall guard Sterling Gibbs joins inside the Big East.
Some onions for the big fella!
We'll be joined by Bill Raftery, who will let you know if St. John's has the onions to knock off Duke at the Garden. He went from blue to gold.
They know that I played. They know I played at Duke, but I don't know how well they knew my game.
An inside look at Steve Wojecdfkjrhmfrski's plan to turn Marquette into Duke North. Plus, we'll take you inside the huddle with an all-access look at the week that was.
We're throwing the next punch right now.
Inside the Big East starts right now.
On our favorite show, Fox Sports 1, you gotta love it.
And we welcome you to Inside the Big East, sponsored by New York Life. And welcome inside our Fox studios here. Rob Stone, Kevin O'Neill, Austin Crozier with you this week. Plenty to get to, including the photo shoot for Bulldog Monthly. What? Exactly. That's the reaction I was looking for. But let's tip it off with the headlines from the week. And we begin with Seton Hall. The freshman guard, Isaiah Whitehead, likely will undergo another MRI after Thursday's game versus DePaul. Whitehead averaging almost 12 points a game. He last played December 21st against Georgia. Home is where the heart is for Villanova and Xavier, at least. The Wildcats and Musketeers both unbeaten at home this season at 11-0 and 10-0 respectively. They're the only two teams in the Big East with perfect home records. And it was a big week for St. John's guard D'Angelo Harrison. First, he was named to the Wooden Award midseason top 25 list. Then, in the Red Storm's win over Providence midweek, he passed Felipe Lopez on St. John's all-time scoring list, moving into third place behind only the great Chris Mullin and Malik Sealy. Felipe Lopez congratulating Harrison on Instagram with the following message. Scratch that. Number 4th now. Congratulations to D'Angelo becoming 3rd all-time in St. John's history. Proud to see you mature as a leader and as a young professional that you are. All right, time now to state our case. Question 1, will St. John's or Xavier finish in the top 5 of the conference? KO.
Xavier will, St. John's won't. Xavier's got frontline depth. They got shooting. They score the ball very well. They need to get a little bit better defensively. But I think Xavier is a team that can finish in the top 3, but will certainly finish in the top 5.
All right, so Xavier is the team. St. John's with a difficult Sunday overtime loss on the road at DePaul. Let's talk about Player of the Year right now. And is it the conference's leading scorer, LaDante Henton?
For me, it is. LaDante Henton has established himself as the leading scorer in this conference. He can beat you in so many different ways. You talk about the versatility, the ability to knock down the three-point shot, put the basketball on the floor. But his size at the small forward position can take advantage of smaller defenders there. He gets the little lefty hook here in the pick and roll, sees the shot, times it, gets the offensive rebound. Big reason for Providence's success. Him at the small forward position as a great rebounder. Here in the flex cut, he's got the option to come up, reads the defense, cuts low, and again with the strong finish. There really isn't anything on the floor offensively that LaDante Henton can't do.
Villanova with 1 loss in conference play. They're the top dog in the Big East. Who else has the ability to make that deep tournament run in your eyes?
I'm sounding like a homer here, but I'm going to go with Providence. We talk LaDante Henton and Chris Dunn. You have 2 dynamic players that have the ability to take over the game. Chris Dunn, the leading assist man in the entire country. They've really improved at the defensive end, more depth, better rebounding. I think that this is a team, by the time it's done, especially with the progression of Chris Dunn, could be a team that can make a deep run.
You trying to get on the board of trustees there?
Exactly.
Come on. A homer? Just a little bit, right,
He's trying to limit his donation.
Yeah, that's it.
You got somebody in mind?
I think Xavier.
Okay.
I mean, I like Xavier's team. I always have liked them. I'm a little disappointed, like I said, in their defense right now. But because of their size and their experience and the number of depth, the depth they have at guard, I think they can make a deep run.
Well, here we sit about a quarter of the way into the Big East campaign, and let's get some more observations and a look ahead to next week's big Duke-St. John's matchup over on Fox. For more, here's Bill Raftery and Tim Brando in this week's edition of The Onion Report.
Onions!
Raft, we've reached the quarter mark in the Big East season. What team has jumped out at you so far?
Wow, you know, we were spoiled. I think you watch this Butler team, Tim, just outstanding the way they give every minute of the game, every trip. The solid, it's sort of indicative of what we're going to see all during the course of the season. So there are other teams that play well on and off. So I just can't wait for the Big East tournament. It's going to be incredible day and night.
I'm curious about individual players in this league so far this season. Does anyone jump out at you as being, I don't know, dominant, most improved, anything that's eye-catching?
The one guy that really has jumped out is Daniel Oshefu. He's such his improvement's been incredible. His ability in the low box area, he didn't have that last year. He wasn't as strong last year. His understanding of the game has grown. He's passing better. Obviously, a deterrent at the rim, block shots. He plays unselfishly because those guys shoot the ball so well. There are minutes and moments where he doesn't get a touch. And he's patient. So I just like what he's been able to do.
I think it would be foolish for any of us that work for Fox to not say that the thought of having Duke playing St. John's on a night in Madison Square Garden when Mike Krzyzewski could be getting his career 1,000th victory isn't something that we don't anticipate. Now, granted, they've got to play Pittsburgh first at home in Cameron, but how does St. John's match up with Duke in what could be a game that everybody will be talking about?
You know, the big thing with St. John's, I think, is, you know, staying in the game is very important. And I think pace of the game. I know they can run. I think they're going to have to be more selective, under control, because you can't go with that frenetic pace against Duke. Their defense is so strong, and they score off it. So I think valuing the ball becomes essential against this incredible team.
That will do it for this week's edition of Bill Raftery's
Inside the Big East next.
I'm in the bowling league back home. I'm a 235 average. My high all time was 285. I love to fish. I love to hunt. Catfish, bass, brim.
I like to read books, actually, about the Army and stuff like that. I like to play video games, different kind of video games, from car games to action games. I think I'm a funny guy to be around.
I enjoy playing golf, and I've crashed an airplane. There was a pretty big crosswind, took out a taxi sign, flipped an airplane, walked away. People say you can't survive air crashes. I think you can.
Quite a landing and quite a season so far for Seton Hall. The Pirates were ranked by the AP in consecutive weeks for the first time since 2000-2001. Also the first time they beat top 15 opponents in back-to-back games since February of '92, and dating back to last season, their first back-to-back wins against Villanova since February of 2004. And one of the main reasons for that success joins us right now, junior guard Sterling Gibbs. And Sterling, welcome to the show. Glad you're here with us. And where do you hand out credit for this resurgence in the Pirates program?
Well, I think just the hard work of the whole team. We've been really working hard. We worked hard in the offseason. We've been working hard now. And just everybody buying into what all the coaches are saying, all the coaches are preaching to us. Just being able to get stops on defense and be able to really score on offense.
Sterling, in a short period of time, you've established yourself as one of the great players in the conference. I always thought the difference between really good and great players was that ability to take and make big shots late in the game, going back to the shot against Villanova last year, this year Creighton and Butler. What is it about you that makes you comfortable in those late game moments?
I think coaches really put that trust in me. The fact that he's able to put the ball in my hands, able to have confidence in myself and to make big plays. And for me to really be able to see that he's able to have the confidence and trust in me to make those plays, I think it's really helped me and be comfortable making those type of plays.
Sterling, let's transition from your big shots to one of your teammates, Angel Delgado's emergence. What has it meant for this Pirates team?
Oh, Angel's a big factor in what we've done so far. Being able to get rebounds, being able to score the ball, and he's just an overall great kid. I think he's able to listen to everything that the coaches have said, everything that the older guys have said, and he's really bought into the offense and definitely even into the defensive part as well.
Sterling, you guys were 10-2 coming into conference play. You lose Isaiah Whitehead, your second leading scorer. You have your toughest stretch of games. You guys play at a high level. Now with Whitehead coming back, how do you think that that's going to affect the way that your team plays?
Well, I think it'll help us a lot, actually. Isaiah's a really great player, and we lost his scoring, but a lot of other guys were able to step up and able to have build that confidence in themselves. Coaches able to build a lot of confidence in them, and just to be able to get him back and get him a part of the group that we've kind of established, I think it's going to be even better for us.
Sterling, curious, how did Coach Willard handle this early season success that you guys had, both on and off the court for you guys as a team?
Well, I think Coach has really kept us grounded. No matter the highs that we had, the lows that we had, he's made sure to stay on us, stay on the fact that the Big East is a real tough conference. So we had a great win against Villanova, but then we had to go to Xavier, and we ended up dropping that one. But at the same time, you always have someone tough coming into your gym, or you're always going into someone's gym who's really tough. So he's really been on us nonstop throughout practice and even off the court to just really carry yourselves in a great manner that others will accept.
How do you describe your backcourt depth?
I would describe it. I would say that we're pretty deep. From Jaren Cena, Kadeem Carrington, Isaiah Whitehead. I guess you have myself. Harold Scarlett, Stefan Manga. I think everyone brings a different dimension to the team to really be able to form the overall team and able to get each other shots, able to get each other driving lanes, and everyone just really helps each other out. And I think it puts a lot of pressure on opposing defenses.
Sterling, we appreciate the time, continued success, and we look forward to seeing you down the road.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Coming up next, he was hired to lead Marquette without any prior head coaching experience. How Steve Wojecdfkjrhmfrski is taking a page out of his mentor's book in turning around the Golden Eagles.
Well, obviously, Coach K was unbelievable mentor for me as a player and a coach, and I couldn't think of a better experience, so I draw upon that experience all the time.
It is a massive one from MSG this coming Sunday for Steve Lavin and the Red Storm as they host Duke and Coach K, who could be going for his 1,000th career win as a head coach. Coverage begins 1:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox. One of Coach K's most polarizing players in the 90s was none other than the floor-slapping Steve Wojecdfkjrhmfrski. After his playing career, he spent 15 seasons as an assistant on the Duke bench. Some thought he'd never leave Durham and would one day replace the legendary Coach K. Well, they were wrong. Marquette, they came calling last April, and Wojo jumped at the chance to lead his own program.
Words cannot appropriately capture what I'm feeling. Sadness that an amazing chapter of my life is coming to an end.
Those the words of Marquette head coach Steve Wojecdfkjrhmfrski last year when he left Duke, the only place he had known since he went to Durham in 1994 at the age of 18, and where the nation came to know him simply as Wojo.
Lately, it's been Wojo leading the Duke comeback.
Some of them weren't born when I was playing, which is kind of crazy to think of. But, they know that I played. They know I played at Duke. But, I don't know how well they knew my game.
Once we knew he was a coach, we seen a couple of clips. People were posting them on YouTube and retweeting them. There was one of him slapping the floor, and obviously that's the most famous one.
He was an intense player. He played really hard, very passionate.
Wojo finished playing for the Blue Devils in 1998 and was an honorable mention All-American, but the undersized point guard went undrafted and didn't make it to any NBA teams. So in 1999, he went from fiery floor leader under Hall of Fame coach Mike Krzyzewski to being an assistant next to him.
Coach K was an unbelievable mentor for me as a player and a coach, and I couldn't think of a better experience. I still talk to Coach all the time. I mean, he's obviously a great mentor for me, and as I'm navigating my first year as a head coach, he's a great sounding board and somebody that's provided great advice and support.
After 15 years next to Coach K, Woj was named the 17th head coach in Golden Eagles history back in April of 2014, and he's made Marquette feel a little bit like Duke North.
From a culture standpoint, from a standard standpoint, we would like it to be very similar. First and foremost, that's what I would like people to identify our program with, is how hard our kids play. I don't think you ever want to be the team that steps on the floor and is not playing harder or as hard as your opponent. So
let's go, guys. Let's go. Let's go.
Intensity that can't be matched. Leadership, just being here every day, showing up every day, giving us his best every day, not taking a day off. That's a big thing, and it is rubbed off on a lot of us.
Good. Sides, exchange. Wings coming off shooting. Point guard, give the rollback. Coaches at the post. Go.
He's always talking about going 100% of the time, being passionate, showing emotion, sharing energy, things like that.
Ball goes in the air. We are ready for the fight. All right? Let's go.
I think any coach would look at the Duke program as a tremendous model of how to do it. I mean, they have high-character kids who compete like crazy when they're on the court. And if people would say the same thing about our program, we'd be very happy.
Together on three. 1, 2, 3. Together.
Kevin O'Neill rejoins us right now. Give us some hints for success for a young coach, particularly in this conference.
Get players. When it gets right down to it, you're only as good as your players. You could be the greatest coach in America if you can't go to a knife fight with a spoon. You got to have great players. And Wojo's got a great start on that already, and he will recruit great players. And then just be himself. That's all he's got to do.
He is on the right path in the recruiting circles. His recruiting, according to Scouts.com for next season, the 5th-ranked class of 2015, led by the number 6 overall player forward, Henry Ellenson. 3 other top 100 recruits, Nova, Georgetown, Creighton, and now St. John's are the other Big East teams with top 100 recruits that have committed. Guard Brandon Sampson, ranked number 61 overall, committed to the Red Storm just last week.
Coming up, grab a seat on the bench as we take you inside the huddles of this week's Big East All Access Pass.
Be super confident. Super confident.
Welcome back as we take a look at the Big East women's standings through January 18th. Earlier in the program, we talked about the resurgence of the men's program at Seton Hall. Ditto for the women's. They are on top at 6-1 and 17-2 overall. DePaul, Butler, St. John's, Nova, Xavier trailing the Hall. And now some of the Big East men's most exciting moments from the past week, which promises to have a little taste of onions.
Game on the line right here. Copeland for 3.
You gotta have heart.
Great move. Chance for a 3-point play. Play. Pocket.
The bank is open in Newark. I have no idea.
That's what he does. Got it.
Turnaround jump shot.
Butler will get its 2nd road victory in the Big East.
The beat goes on for the Red Storm.
Gibbs got the room.
He ever been lighting it up this year.
Talk about Big East basketball down and dirty, Gustavo.
Always good to hear, Raph. We've promised you access on this show, and it's time to put you on the sideline as we go inside the huddles with the coaches of the Big East.
Everybody got that? Everybody keep believing. We're all right. No threes when we switch, be aggressive. When we fit the guard, we've gotten great looks.
You just catch the ball and the person has will stop and try to stare. Move, move, move.
We're not up 6 or 7 points because of offensive rebounds. No other reason. We need all 5 guys to get that ball.
Can't just score and let them jump over our backs. We got to warm out of them. We got to go get the ball.
We've got to go over the top. You can't shoot off the wrong foot. You got to plant and go up. Over the top. Our energy has been good. Catch a shooting guard. You got to keep playing hard and keep talking. We're doing a much better job identifying what threes are. Contest passes. Get our hands on it. Hey, listen, be super confident. Super confident.
You want all access? I've got your all access right here. Butler visiting Georgetown on Saturday. The 2 Bulldogs got together. Georgetown Jack, Butler Blue. Nice play date. Oh, look at that. Photos, reading the paper. some coffee by the fire.
That's
A
awesome.
typical day in the life of a Bulldog and Kevin O'Neill. Hanging out, doing Bulldog things.
We're all dogs.
Bulldog Monthly. No Friars available for that one.
Don't give him another chance to talk about Providence, all right?
He's had enough. He's had enough this week. Next week, Inside the Big East debuts on Fox at 1 p.m. Eastern ahead of that huge one between Duke and St. John's. We'll also sit down with one of the godfathers of the Big East in that one, John Thompson. Here's a preview.
The Big East was supposed to be down. Teams left, new teams came in. But so far this season, the Big East, they've blown the national scene out of the water in terms of wins.
Well, and I always thought that was a bunch of bull. You know, you can't listen to what people say and what people think. You play the game on the floor. And I definitely didn't expect it not to be. I didn't expect it to be, but I know what I've seen. What I've seen are a group of teams that compete with anybody.
Looking forward to the rest of that interview next week. Right now, UFC Rising with Colin McGregor. Enjoy.